Konnichiwa minasan, Nihongo no gakusei desu. In this lesson, we will learn the two types of transivity. That is, transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. In English, we also have this kind of verbs, transitive and intransitive verbs. So basically, transitive verbs are verbs that need subject and object. For example, in this sentence, I bought a can of soda. So here the subject is I, and then the can of soda is the object. I carry a bag. It's the same thing. The bag is the object that I carry. I caught a fish. I cleaned my room. Now these verbs, cleaned, caught, carry, bought, need an object to make sense. So if we just say I bought, or I carry, or I caught, that doesn't make sense at all. So these verbs need object. For the intransitive verbs, the verbs do not need an object to make sense. So examples, the plane arrives, he died yesterday, he always smiles. Now in these verbs, arrives, died, smile, these verbs do not need an object to make sense. They are complete even without an object. So it is wrong to say the plane arrives the passenger, the murderer died him yesterday, he smiled his face. In these sentences, of course, these are grammatically incorrect because these verbs do not need an object. If we add an object like this, it becomes wrong. Now, other verbs can act both as transitive and intransitive verbs, but we're not going further into that. It is safe to say that transitive and intransitive verbs are also present in Japanese grammar. And that is what we are going to do today. So we're going to learn the Japanese transitive verbs and intransitive verbs, which is quite different, of course, from the English grammar. Okay, for example, we have this transitive verb akeru, to open something. So again, transitive verb has a subject and an object. So for example, I open a window. Okay? So akeru. And its intransitive counterpart is aku. So something opens. For example, the window opens and I did not open it. There is no subject. It opens by itself. Other examples, so shimeru, to close something. So I close the door, I close the window, okay, shimeru. And its intransitive verb counterpart is shimaru. So something closes, the window closes, the door closes. Ireru, to put in. So I put something in. We use ireru. And then its intransitive counterpart is hairu. So something is in or something is on. Dasu, to take something out. So for example, I take the garbage out. So dasu, we use dasu there, while its intransitive counterpart is deru. So something goes out. For example, the dog goes out. The dog goes out. You did not bring the dog out. The dog just went out. So in that sentence, we use deru and not dasu. We also have other examples. So tsukeru, to turn something on. So let's say you want to turn on the lights. So we use tsukeru. But when the light turns off by itself, we use tsuku. So something goes on. And then the same idea for the other example. So kesu, to turn something off. Kieru, something goes off. Kawasu, to break something. I broke something. Kawareru, something breaks. Yosogu, to make something dirty. So I made my clothes dirty. Or yogoreru, something becomes dirty. The clothes becomes dirty. Otosu, to drop something. So you drop pencil, etc. Ochiru is something drops. Wakasu, to boil water. And waku, the water boils. Okay. Again, for the transitive verb, there is a subject and an object, while for intransitive verb, it need not have any object. All right. Example sentences. First, we have the transitive verb. Again, we have subject and object here. And for the intransitive verb, there is subject only. For example, Takeshi-san ga. So, Takeshi is the subject. Tenki yo, and this is the object, tenki. Tsukemashita. Takeshi turned on the lights. So, tsukemashita comes from tsukeru, transitive verb. For intransitive verb, we have tenki ga tsukimashita. The lights came on. So, we use the past tense. Tenki ga tsukimashita. And it comes from the intransitive verb tsuku. Tsuku. Alright, another example. Takeshi-san ga oyu wo wakashimashita. So, Takeshi boiled the water. So, we use here the transitive verb wakasu. Okay, for clarification, when we use the verb wakasu to boil, we use oyu. Okay, so it is redundant. You are boiling a hot water because oyu means hot water already. So you are boiling hot water. And because this is Japanese, we have no right to complain. We use oyu o wakashimashita. So literally, it means boiling hot water. Okay, but in English, it is translated as Takeshi boiled the water. Okay, so wakasu has an object, that is water. For the intransitive verb, oyu ga wakimashita. So here we use waku. The water boiled. Okay? Oyu ga wakimashita. Alright, let's have some example. So here we have the door opens and somebody opened the door. So we use the transitive and intransitive verbs. Here we have doa o akemasu. Doa o akemasu from akeru, and a transitive verb. So I open the door, he opens the door. There is a subject and an object. While we have seen the door opens, so here we have doa o akemasu. Doa o akemasu. So it comes from aku. Doa o aku. Here, doa o akimasu. The door opens. And here we do not have an object. The door opens by itself. Alright, next. Someone closes the door and the door closes. So here we have doa o shimemasu. Doa o shimemasu. I close the door. So shimemasu is a transitive verb. And for the intransitive verb, we have doa ga shimarimasu. Doa ga shimarimasu. The door closes. Okay? So for the transitive verb, shimeru. For the intransitive, shimaru. Okay? So here we have, I opened the lights, or I turned on the lights. And the lights turned on. Denki o tsukemasu. Denki o tsukemasu. I turned the lights on. Present tense. For the intransitive verb, we have denki ga tsukimasu. Denki ga tsukimasu. So it comes from tsuku. Okay. Next, the candles go off. Rosoku o keshimasu. So she put out the candles. Rosoku o keshimasu. So again, there is an object and a subject. And then for intransitive verb, rosoku ga kiemasu. Comes from kieru. The candle goes out because of the strong wind. Rosoku ga kiemasu. Becomes dirty. So, transitive verb, fuku o yogoshimasu. Fuku o yogoshimasu. And for the intransitive verb, fuku ga yogoremasu. We have break. Omocha o kowashimasu. from kawasu. Omocha o kawashimasu. He breaks the toy, or the baby breaks the toy. Present tense. And for the intransitive of break, we have kappu ga kawaremasu. Kappu ga kawaremasu. The cup breaks. So kawaremasu comes from kawareru, the intransitive verb of to break. Alright, I put the dog inside, the dog goes inside. So here we have ino o iremasu. Ino o iremasu from ireru. While the other, ino ga hairimasu. Ino ga hairimasu. So the dog goes inside. Hairimasu comes from hairu. Okay? Something goes inside. Alright, so we have the cat put outside. And the cat goes outside. Neko dashimashita. I took the cat outside. Neko dashimashita. So here I use the past tense. Dashimashita comes from dasu. The other picture, koneko ga demasu. Koneko ga demasu. The kitten goes outside. Present tense. And demasu comes from deru. Something goes outside. Here we have pen no otoshimashita. Pen no otoshimashita. I dropped the pen. So otoshimashita comes from otosu. Otosu. To drop something. To drop something. And the other is the pen dropped already. So pen ga ochimashita. Pen ga ochimashita. Ochimashita comes from ochiru. So something drops. And next we have the last one. Oyu o wakashimasu. Oyu o wakashimasu. So wakashimasu is a transitive verb. So somebody boils something. So wakashimasu comes from wakasu, a transitive verb. And the other is oyu ga wakimasu. Oyu ga wakimasu. The water is boiling. So here we have an intransitive verb. It comes from waku. Waku. Wakimasu. Waku. Oyu ga wakimasu. The water is boiling. Alright, thank you for listening and watching, and I hope you have learned something.